Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. First word for today is advantaged. Advantaged. So it's like the past tense of advantage. This is an adjective from 1950, having or providing an advantage, and especially a social or financial advantage over others, as in an advantaged position or advantaged children. Next is advantageous. This is an adjective from 1593, giving an advantage. The synonym is favorable, as in an advantageous opportunity. Advantageously is the adverb. Advantageousness is a noun. Next is advection, Advectation. This is a noun from 1910. The usually horizontal movement of a mass of fluid, as air or an ocean current. Also, transport, as of pollutants or plankton, by such movement. Advect is a transitive verb, and advective is an adjective. Etymology says this is from the Latin advectio, which is act of bringing, and that is from advehere, which means to carry to, and that is made combining ad plus vehere, which means to carry, and there's more at the word way, W-A-Y. Next is advent with a capital A. This is chiefly British, noun from the 12th century, very old. 1. The period beginning 4 Sundays before Christmas and observed by some Christians as a season of prayer and fasting. I have heard of Advent calendars. I am not religious, so I don't really know all the details of Advent, but now I know a little bit more. 2a, the coming of Christ at the Incarnation. 2b, it has the synonym second coming. 3, when it is not capitalized, a coming into being or use, as in the advent of spring, or the advent of pasteurization, or the advent of personal computers. Next is Adventism, so it's advent with ism at the end, still with a capital A. This is a noun from 1874. 1. The doctrine that the second coming of Christ and the end of the world are near at hand. 2. The principles and practices of Seventh-day Adventists. That just came up yesterday. I don't remember. I was talking to somebody and they said Seventh-day Adventists. I don't know what they are. Sorry. Adventist is an adjective or noun. Adventitia, or Adventitia, Adventitia. That's the next word. This is a noun from 1876. An external, chiefly connective tissue covering of an organ, especially the external coat of a blood vessel. Adventitial is an adjective. This is from the Latin adventitia, spelled with a CIA at the end. This means, or adventitious, which means coming from outside. Next is adventitious. This is an adjective from 1603. 1. Coming from another source and not inherent or innate, as in a federal house with adventitious. Let me try that again. A federal house without adventitious later additions. 2. Arising or occurring sporadically or in other than the usual location, as in adventitious roots. Adventitiously is an adverb. Adventive is our next word. This is an adjective circa 1859. 1. Introduced but not fully naturalized, as in an adventive weed. 2. We have the synonym adventitious, our last word. The second definition of that. And adventive is a noun. Next is Advent Sunday. This is a noun from the 15th century. the first Sunday in Advent, which, if we look back to our definition of Advent, it is the period beginning 4 Sundays before Christmas. So that's when Advent Sunday is. Next we have adventure, the first form of it. Noun from the 14th century. 1a, an undertaking usually involving danger and unknown risks. 1b, the encountering of risks, as in the spirit of adventure. 2, an exciting or remarkable experience, as in an adventure in exotic dining. 3, an enterprise involving financial risk. The etymology is saying this is from Middle English, aventure, aventure, which means chance or risk, and that is from the Anglo-French, which is from Latin. I'm skipping some of this. Latin advenire, which means to arrive, and that is from ad plus venire, which means to come. And there's more at the word come. Next is the second form of adventure. This is a verb from the 14th century. Transitive definitions are 1, to expose to danger or loss. Venture is a synonym. 2, to venture upon. Try, T-R-Y, is a synonym. Intransitive definitions are 1, to proceed despite risk. 2, to take the risk. And whenever I hear the word adventure, I think of Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit saying, "I'm going on an adventure." Next, we have adventurer. This is a noun from the 15th century. 1, one that adventures, as a soldier of fortune. That's the synonym for 1a. 1b, one that engages in risky commercial enterprises for profit. 2, one who seeks unmerited wealth or position, especially by playing on the credulity or prejudice of others. Next is adventuresome. This is an adjective from circa 1731. Inclined to take risks. Venturesome, so without the ad, is a synonym. Adventuresomeness is a noun. Adventuress is our next word, and I'm just going to guess off the bat that this is a female adventurer. Let's see what it says. This is a noun from 1754. Oh my God, it literally says a female adventurer. I swear, I did not look at that. I just guessed. I thought it could have been, formatted, written in a slightly different way, but no, it literally says a female adventurer, especially one who seeks position or livelihood by questionable means. And we will read one more for this episode, which goes on to the top of page 19 a little bit. Adventurism, adventurism. This is a noun from 1932. Improvisation or experimentation, as in politics or military or foreign affairs, in the absence or in defiance of accepted plans or principles. Adventurist is a noun, and adventuristic is an adjective. That will end this episode. Thank you for listening. I'm going to take a break because I just recorded 4 episodes. I will try to record page 19 in the next couple of days. Thank you for listening, and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of The Dictionary. I don't know why I paused there. First word for today is adventurous, adventurous. This is an adjective from the 15th century. 1a, disposed to seek adventure or to cope with the new and unknown. Ooh, that was a very poetic definition, I felt like. As in, an adventurous explorer. 1b, the synonym is innovative, as in an adventurous artistic style. 2, characterized by unknown dangers and risks, as in an adventurous journey. Adventurously is the adverb, adventurousness is the noun. And here we have synonym information, and if you remember from the past, I kind of like these because it really just gives you a better idea of the word and all the various synonyms. So here we go. Venturesome, daring, daredevil, rash, reckless, and foolhardy mean exposing oneself to danger more than required by good sense. And I did leave off the first word, the original word, adventurous, which I have been doing, but I feel like I should start saying that one again. So, adventurous implies a willingness to accept risks, but not necessarily imprudence, as in adventurous pioneers. Venturesome implies eagerness for perilous undertakings, as in venturesome stunt pilots. Daring implies fearlessness in courting danger, as in daring mountain climbers. Daredevil stresses ostentation in daring, as in daredevil motorcyclists. Rash suggests imprudence and lack of forethought, as in a rash decision. Reckless implies heedlessness of probable consequences, as in a reckless driver. Foolhardy suggests a lack of good sense, as in the foolhardy sailor ventured into the storm. Next word is adverb. Again, just like adjective, we see this a fair amount here. This is the first form of adverb, a noun, from the 14th century, a word belonging to one of the major form classes in any of numerous languages, typically serving as a modifier of a verb, an adjective, another adverb, a preposition, a phrase, a clause, or a sentence, expressing some relation of manner or quality, place, time, degree, number, cause, opposition, affirmation, or denial, and in English also serving to connect and to express comment on clause content. Wow, that was a long sentence. It says compare to the words adjunct, conjunct, and disjunct. The etymology is saying this is from the Latin adverbium, which is made combining ad plus verbum. I wonder in Latin if it's verbum. I think it might be a W sound, which means word. And there's more at the word word. Whoa. Okay, second form of adverb is an adjective. Weird. From 1879, and it just has the synonym adverbial. And that is our next word, adverbial. This is an adjective from 1611 of relating to or having the function of an adverb. Adverbial, again, is the noun as well, and adverbially is an adverb. Whoa, that hurts my brain. Adverbially is an adverb, which means you could say something was done in an adverbial way. I don't even know what that would mean. Oh, I might have to try and write a sentence or something using that word. Next is adverbum, A-D space V-E-R-B-U-M, and if I remember correctly, the verbum is the Latin word for word. I learned that in the etymology of the word adverb. And I don't know why I'm just now realizing this, but verb and word are sound and spelled very similarly. If the V is turned into a W sound, like I believe it is in Latin, verb becomes verb, and it's just the B changes to a D. You know, English has evolved over many, many years, so I'm not surprised that something like that has happened. Anyway, adverbum is this word. This is an adverb from circa 1580. The definition says, to a word. So I think that's literally what adverbum means, to a word. And the synonym is verbatim. I have a short story about that word. When I was young, we had those, I guess they were like 2 or 3 inch floppy disks, although they weren't floppy, they were the hard ones. And one brand of disc was verbatim. And I was young, you know, this was like mid to late 80s and probably early 90s, so I was around 10, give or take. I didn't know what the word verbatim was. So yeah, that's my story. Next is adversarial. This is an adjective from 1871 of relating to or characteristic of an adversary or adversary procedures. And next is the word adversary, the first form. This is a noun from the 14th century, one that contends with, opposes, or resists. And the word enemy is a synonym. Adversariness is a noun. Second form of adversary is an adjective from the 14th century. 1. Of, relating to, or involving an adversary. 2. Having or involving antagonistic parties or opposing interests. That would be weird to have an antagonistic party for your friends, like an antagonistic birthday party or something. This is a stupid idea I just thought of. As in, divorce can be an adversary proceeding. Next is adversative. 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 This is an adjective from the 15th century, expressing antithesis, opposition, or adverse circumstance, as in the adversative conjunction but. And but is in italics to show that the word but, is the adversative conjunction. Adversative is also a noun, and adversatively is an adverb. Next is adverse, and looking at where we are in the column, I think this will be the last word for today. Adverse. This is an adjective from the 14th century. 1. Acting against or in a contrary direction. Hostile or hostile, depending on how you want to pronounce that. Hostile. That is a synonym, as in hindered by adverse winds. 2a. Opposed to one's interests, as in an adverse verdict, or heard testimony adverse to their position. And then it says especially the synonym unfavorable, as in adverse criticism. 2b. Causing harm. Harmful is a synonym, as in adverse drug effects. 3 is archaic, opposite in position. Adverb is adversely, and a noun is adverseness. That will be the end of the episode. Thank you for listening, and I hope you are looking forward to the next one, because it's going to be a great one. I have no idea why, but I'm just going to say it is. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the Dictionary. First word for today is adversity. Adversity. This is a noun from the 13th century, a state or instance of serious or continued difficulty or misfortune, and the synonym is the word misfortune. Next is advert, the first form, intransitive verb from the 15th century. 1. To turn the mind or attention, used with the word to, as in adverted to the speaker. 2. To call attention in the course of speaking or writing, make reference, also used with the word to, as in adverted to foreign language sources. The etymology is saying this is from Middle English. It just says to perceive, pay heed, so it must be the same word because it's not giving me a Middle English word. This is from the Anglo-French, Anglo-French advertir, which is from the Latin advertere or advertere, which is made combining ad plus vertere, which means to turn. And there's more at the word worth. Next is the second form of advert. This is a noun from 1860, chiefly British, it says, and it has the synonym advertisement. And I said it that way because it is the British form of it, I guess. Next is advertence. Advertence. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1. The action or process of adverting. The synonym is attention. 2. It just has the synonym advertency 1. So the first definition of the word advertency, and that is the next word. This is a noun from 1646. 1. The quality or state of being advertent. And the synonym is heedfulness. Number 2 is the synonym advertence 1. and that is the previous word we just read, so those two words are clearly very related. Next is advertent, T-E-N-T at the end. This is an adjective from 1671, giving attention, and the synonym is heedful. Advertently is the adverb. And our next word is advertise. We're getting away from advertent, all forms of it. Advertise, this is a verb from the 15th century. Transitive definitions. 1. To make something known to. Synonym is notify. 2a. To make publicly and generally known, as in advertising their readiness to make concessions. 2b. To announce publicly, especially by a printed notice or a broadcast. 2c. To call public attention to, especially by emphasizing desirable qualities, so as to arouse a desire to buy or patronize. Promote is the synonym. The intransitive definition is to issue or sponsor advertising, as in advertise for a secretary. Advertiser is a noun. Next is advertisement. This is a noun from the 15th century. 1. The act or process of advertising. 2. A public notice, especially one published in the press or broadcast over the air. Next is advertising. This is a noun from 1751. 1. The action of calling something to the attention of the public, especially by paid announcements. 2 is the synonym advertisements, as in the magazine contains much advertising. 3. The business of preparing advertisements for publication or broadcast. Next is advertorial. Advertorial. I don't know if I've ever heard this word. Noun. It is saying that this is a blend of the words advertisement and editorial. It is from 1946. An advertisement that imitates editorial format. I don't really know what that would be. I might have to look up an example of what that is. But yeah, it doesn't really help if I don't have an example. Next is advice. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1. Recommendation regarding a decision or course of conduct. The synonym is counsel, C-O-U-N-S-E-L, as in, he shall have power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties. And that is from the U.S. Constitution. 2. Information or notice given, usually used in plural. 3. An official notice concerning a business transaction. The etymology, I might just read this pretty much. It is saying that it is from the Middle English avis or advis, which means view or opinion. That is from the Anglo-French, which is from the Old French phrase. I will try to say this. C'est ma vie. It is spelled C-E-M'-E-S-T-A-V-I-S. And it looks like the translation of that says, that appears to me. And then it says maybe partly translated from the Latin mihi visum est, which means it seemed so to me. I decided. Okay, that is advice. Next is advisable. This is an adjective from 1582. Fit to be advised or done. Synonym is prudent. You could also see expedient as a synonym. Advisability is a noun. Advisableness is also a noun. And advisably is an adverb. Next we have advise. I'm pretty sure the 2 words ago I said the word is advice with a C-E. This is advise with an S-E at the end. This is a verb from the 15th century. Transitive definitions. 1a. To give advice to. Counsel is the synonym, as in advise her to try a drier climate. 1b. Caution and warn are the synonyms, as in advise them of the consequences. 1c. The synonym is recommend, as in advise prudence. 2. To give information or notice to. Synonym is inform, as in advise them of their rights. Intransitive definitions are 1. To give advice, as in advise on legal matters. 2. To make counsel. Synonym is consult, as in advise with friends. Advisor, spelled S-E-R or S-O-R, are nouns. And the etymology is saying this is from the Middle English. It means to look at or consider or advise. That's our word. Which is from the Anglo-French aviser, which is from the word avis, A-V-I-S. And that reminds me, here's my little story. That reminds me of the show The Orville. If you are a Star Trek fan or a comedy fan, you will probably like it. This is Seth MacFarlane's show. I know a lot of people don't really like it, but I like it. But there is a race of aliens that they have to deal with, and that alien's god is named Avis. And they make a lot of jokes about how Avis is the name of a car rental place. Next is the word advised. This is an adjective from the 15th century. Thought out. Synonym is considered, and this is often used in combination, as in ill-advised plans. Advisedly is an adverb. Next is advisee, A-D-V-I-S-E-E. This is a noun from 1824, one who is advised. Next is advisement. This is a noun from the 15th century, one careful consideration. The synonym is deliberation, as in take a matter under advisement. 2. The act or process of advising, as a college student. Next is the word advisory, A-D-V-I-S-O-R-Y. This is our last word, but this is the first form of it. This is an adjective from 1731. 1. Having or exercising power to advise, as in an advisory council. 2. Containing or giving advice. Next is the second form of advisory. This is a noun from 1920. A report giving information, as on the weather, and often recommending action to be taken. That is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for listening. We are halfway through page 19. And until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. This is Spencer with another episode of the dictionary. Top of the second column of page 19, first word is advocacy, A-D-V-O-C-A-C-Y. This is a noun from the 15th century, the act or process of advocating or supporting a cause or proposal. Next is advocacy journalism. This is a noun from 1969. Journalism that advocates a cause or expresses a viewpoint. Advocacy journalist is a noun. Next is advocate. This is the first form. This is a noun from the 14th century. One that pleads the cause of another. Specifically, one that pleads the cause of another before a tribunal or judicial court. 2. One that defends or maintains a cause or proposal. 3. One that supports or promotes the interests of another. The etymology is saying this is from the Latin advocare, which means to summon. That is coming from vocare or vocare, which means to call. And that is from voc or vox, which means voice, and there's more at the word voice. Second form of advocate. This is a transitive verb from 1599. By the way, I think it's fascinating that they have exact years for many of these words, in which I believe are its first known usage. So 1599 is very specific. Obviously, anything much before that, before maybe 1550 or so, it ends up just saying the century. But that's, let's see, that is how many over 400 years ago, they have a first known usage. Okay, definition is to plead in favor of, and the synonym is support. Advocation is a noun. Advocative is an adjective. An advocator is a noun. Next is advowson. I believe that is how it's pronounced. Advowson. Advowson. This is a noun from the 15th century. The right in English law of presenting a nominee to a benefice. Benefice is spelled Benefice. I think that's how it's pronounced. This is from Middle English avusum, which is from the Middle Latin advocation or advocatio. And I'm pretty sure the V sounds like a W, a W, but I'm just going to say it my current English way. And so advocatio, I believe, means act of calling, and that is from advocare. Next is ADVT, all lowercase. This is an abbreviation for the word advertisement. Next is adware. This is a noun from 1992, one of the most recent we've seen. Computer software that is provided usually for free but containing advertisements. Next is adynamic, all one word, adynamic. This is an adjective from 1829, characterized by or causing a loss of strength or function, as in adynamic ileus. I don't know that word, Ileus. This is from the Greek adynamia, which means lack of strength. And that is from a plus dynamis, which means power. So adding the a makes it the opposite. And that is from, I believe this is still Greek, dynasthai, dynasthai, which means to be able. Next is adatum. Well, it's spelled adytum. I would want to say aditum or aditum, but according to the pronunciation, I think it's just adatum or something close to that. This is a noun from 1611. The innermost sanctuary in an ancient temple, open only to priests. The synonym is sanctum. The etymology says this is from, I'm just going to pare this down, maybe not. Latin from Greek aditon, which is the neutral of aditos, which means not to be entered. And that is from diein, D-I-E-I-N, D-Y-E-I-N, which means to enter. Next is A-D-Z-E. I guess it's just pronounced ads. It's also spelled A-D-Z. This is a noun from before the 12th century. A cutting tool that has a thin, arched blade set at right angles to the handle and is used chiefly for shaping wood. And there is a picture, a very small black and white picture of an adze. And it looks kind of like an axe, although I think the sharper part is rotated 90 degrees from an axe. Next is adzuki, or adzuki, A-D-Z-U-K-I. This is a noun from 1727, and it just has the synonym adzuki bean. And I wasn't sure of the pronunciation because in it says that the U has an umlaut over it. And honestly, I'm not really sure how that is pronounced. If it is pronounced adzuki, I would have expected to see the horizontal line over the U to say that it is a long U, which I think means that it is pronounced like a U. But I still think it's adzuki. If you know, please let me know. There's contact information in the description. Next is adzuki bean, the synonym that we just read. This is a noun from 1795. An annual bushy leguminous plant, Vigna angularis, and the synonym is Phaseolus angularis. widely grown in Japan and China for its seeds, which are used as food and to produce a flour, Flour, not Flower. Also, its seed is also an azuki bean, I guess. Next is, well, it's spelled A-E, and it is pronounced A. This is an adjective from 1725, chiefly Scottish. It just has it's the synonym one, O-N-E. So I guess if you want to say one in Scottish, you just say A. If you are Scottish and you want to clarify me on this, because I'm probably wrong, let me know. Next is also AE, but this is all caps. It is an abbreviation for American English. That is what I speak barely. Next is, I'm going to need help with the pronunciation of this. Iacus. Iacus. Capital A. E-A-C-U-S. This is a noun from 1606. Iacus. A son of Zeus who is given the Myrmidons as followers and becomes on his death a judge of the underworld. In high school, I guess we had to study a little Greek mythology. I have no memory of this word. I'm sure we learned about Iacus, but I just don't remember. And this reminds me of a weird thing that many of you won't know anything about probably. I have a hobby. Sometimes I'll figure out what words are backwards phonetically. So let me explain. If I want to say the word hi phonetically backwards, I would say ya. And I figured this would come up sometime in this podcast. I had no idea when. Trust me, this will make sense with the word Iacus. So if you were to record the backwards version, so again, hi, backwards is ya. And if you were to record that, you could do this with apps and play it backwards. It would say hi. Another fun one is howdy, and that backwards is idwa. Anyway, so back to Iacus. Once I figured out with my niece that the word cicada backwards is adiacus, and this word is Iacus. Very, very similar. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. None of you probably care. Next is AEC, all caps. This is an abbreviation for Atomic Energy Commission. Next is Ischiaspore. Ischiaspore. A-E-C-I-O-S-P-O-R-E. This is a noun from 1905. One of the spores arranged within an ecium in a series like a chain. Next word and last for this episode is Ischium. The word I just read, A-E-C-I-U-M. This is a noun from 1905. The fruiting body of a rust fungus in which the first this goes over to the next line, so I'm having trouble with it. Binucleate spores are usually produced, or binucleate spores. Ischial is an adjective. This is from Greek Ikia or Ikia, which means outrage or assault. This is from Ikis or other forms that I can't pronounce, which mean unseemly, and that is from Ikenai, E-I-K-E-N-A-I, which means to seem, S-E-E-M. That is the end of this episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing with my stupid stories. And until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. This is my 4th episode in a row. This is the end of page 19. First for today is AED, all caps. This is an abbreviation for Automated External Defibrillator, or Automatic External Defibrillator. Having trouble with that word. Next is AEDs. Oy. Okay, so no capitals. It is spelled A-E-D-E-S. It looks like the A and the E are both separate syllables, so this is AEDs. This is a noun from circa 1909. Any of a genus, AEDs with a capital A, of mosquitoes, including the vector of yellow fever, dengue, and other diseases. And aedine is an adjective. This is from the Greek aedes, which means unpleasant, which is no surprise because it's talking about mosquitoes. That is from eidos, which means pleasure. To me, that's the opposite of unpleasant. Oh, that's probably why they put the A. That's right. A before eidos is the opposite of pleasure, which means unpleasant. This is akin to the Greek hedys, Hedys, which means sweet, and there's more at the word sweet. Next is aedil, I think it's, or just edil. This one I think is just edil. Aedile. This is a noun from 1538. An official in ancient Rome in charge of public works and games, police, and the grain supply. Okay, let me just say, one person is in charge of public works, games, police, and the grain supply. That is fascinating. This is from the Latin edis, which means temple, and there's more at the word edify, Edify. Again, public works and games, police, and the grain supply. Things were definitely different in ancient Rome. Next is AEF, all caps. This is an abbreviation for American Expeditionary Force. Next is capital AEGEAN. This is Aegean. That is, I believe, what it is saying in the pronunciation. But also, I'm familiar with this word because I believe this is about the Aegean Sea. This is an adjective from 1513, or that's how I know it as the Aegean Sea. I'm sure there's more definitions. Number 1, of or relating to the arm of the Mediterranean Sea east of Greece. 2, of or relating to the chiefly Bronze Age civilization of the islands of the Aegean Sea and the countries adjacent to it. Next is Aegis. I think that's how it's pronounced. This is AEGIS or just EGIS. This is a noun from 1581. 1. A shield or breastplate emblematic of majesty that was associated with Zeus and Athena. 2a, we have the synonym protection, under the aegis of the Constitution. Or I should have said, as in, under the aegis of the Constitution. 2b, controlling or conditioning influence, as in passed new laws under the aegis of national security. 3a, we have the synonyms auspices, that's AUSPICES, and sponsorship, as in under the aegis of the museum. 3b, control or guidance, especially by an individual, group, or system. And apologies if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but I do think it is aegis. Next is, I have to look at the pronunciation, aegisthus, capital AEGISTUS. This is a noun from 1567. A lover of it's a name with a capital C, Lytemnestra. Clytemnestra. Okay, let's start this definition over. A lover of Clytemnestra slain with her by her son Orestes. And I think this is Greek. Next, we have the suffix emia or emia. It's spelled AEMIA. This is a chiefly British variation of EMIA, EMIA. And yes, we are aware that the Brits often will spell things AE when we might spell them with an E. They also like to add OU when we might just do O, as in color or favorite. So that is the British spelling of the suffix emia. And when we get to emia, we will probably see examples of that. Next is Aeneas. Capital A-E-N-E-A-S. This is a noun from the 14th century. A son of Anchises and Aphrodite, defender of Troy and hero of Virgil's Aeneid. Next is, I'm going to guess, a Neolithic. A Neolithic. Yes, capital A-E-N-E-O-L-I-T-H-I-C. Adjective from 1901. Of or relating to a transitional period between the Neolithic and Bronze Ages in which some copper was used. Next is Aeolian. This is the first form of Aeolian, A-E-O-L-I-A-N. And you can see maybe why I'm having some trouble. All of these words, since the last episode, partway through, or most of the way through the last episode, all start with A-E. But they all are pronounced slightly different. So I do get a little confused. But this is Aeolian. This is an adjective from 1595. Number 1, often capitalized. Ooh, did you hear my stomach? Of or relating to Aeolus. Aeolus. Yeah, capital A-E-O-L-U-S. 2, giving forth or marked by a moaning or sighing sound or musical tone produced by or as if by the wind. I wonder if Aeolus, I think that's a person, is related to the wind in some way. Is it in Greek mythology, is Aeolus the god of wind or something? We'll probably find that out at the end of this episode. So I'm curious. Next is the second form of Aeolian, and it says it's a variation of Aeolian without the A at the beginning. Next is also Aeolian, but it has a capital A. This is the first form. This is an adjective from 1567 of or relating to Aeolus, A-E-O-L-I-S with a capital A, or its inhabitants. So Aeolus is a location in this case. And Aeolus, L-U-S, in the previous one, I don't know if that's a person or a place. Next is the second form of Aeolian with a capital A. This is a noun circa 1726. 1, a member of a group of Greek peoples of Thessaly and Boeotia, B-O-E-O-T-I-A, that colonized Lesbos and the adjacent coast of Asia Minor. 2, we have the synonym Aeolic. Next we have Aeolian harp. This is a noun from 1750, a box-shaped musical instrument having stretched strings usually tuned in unison on which the wind produces varying harmonics over the same fundamental tone. I'm going to throw in a little musical information here. I believe Aeolian is one of the types of scales. I think there's maybe 8 or 10 types of scales, most commonly known as major and minor. Although I guess there could be I think Mixolydian is one of them, but could there be a major Mixolydian and a minor Mixolydian? I don't know. I never really studied music theory, but hearing the definition of Aeolian harp and also the mention of wind in an earlier word, how its wind produces varying harmonics, I'm thinking that an Aeolian scale is kind of has harmonics in each of it, so it's probably a very simple scale. But maybe we'll learn about that. I actually have really wanted to learn these scales more so I might look into this more later. Next is Aeolic. Aeolic, capital A-E-O-L-I-C. This is the first form. This is an adjective from 1641. It just has the synonym Aeolian. The second form of Aeolic is a noun from 1889. a group of ancient Greek dialects used by the Aeolians. Next is the word that I said we were going to get to at the end of this episode, Aeolus, Aeolus. Actually, I think it's Aeolus. This is a noun from the 14th century. The Greek god of the winds. Did I call it? Seriously, go back. I totally called it. I did not read ahead. 5 episodes or so, I did the same thing with a different word, adventuress. I called the definition. I'm really proud of myself. You probably think I'm an idiot because you probably already knew the definition, but I'm also way too excited that I called it. Greek god of the winds, Aeolus. Aeolus. All right, moving on. Last word for today, and I think this might go on to the next page. Let's check. No, it does not. Okay, this is Aeon or Eon, and it is pronounced eon. This is a noun from circa 1642. 1. An immeasurably or indefinitely long period of time. Synonym is age, A-G-E. 2a, usually, spelled E-O-N, a very large division of geologic time, usually longer than an era. 2b, a unit of geologic time equal to 1 billion years. This is from the Greek aeon, A-I-O-N, and there's more at the word A-Y-E. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. This is the end of the episode. The next 4 episodes will be on page 20. We are in the A-E's. We are chugging along. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. First word for today. I feel like I had something to say, but now I can't remember. I guess real quick, if you like what you're hearing, please give me a 5-star review on iTunes if that's where you are listening to it. And if you're not, go ahead and rate it and review it there. They say, yes, I'm being that guy, they say that these 5-star reviews and an actual review help. And of course, we all could use all the help we can get. So, first word for today is Aeonian. A-E-O-N-I-A-N. It also says or Aeonic. A-E-O-N-I-C. This is an adjective from 1765. Lasting for an immeasurably or indefinitely long period of time. So I think that is related to our last word, which was at the end of the previous episode, eon. So this is the adjective version of that. All right, next word is Epyronis. A-E-P-Y-O-R-N-I-S. This is a noun from 1851. It just has the synonym elephant bird. I have never heard of this. I am super fascinated on what an elephant bird is, and I am definitely going to have to go look that up. This is from New Latin, I think the NL stands for, it's the genus name. This is from the Greek, Apis, A-I-P-Y-S, which means high, H-I-G-H, and it is combined with ornis, which is bird, and there's more at the word ern, E-R-N-E. So elephant bird, I'm wondering if this is a very tall bird or something. I don't know. I feel like I would have heard of this before. Next is AEQ. This is an abbreviation for equal. And the full Latin word that this is an abbreviation for is equalis, A-E-Q-U-A-L-I-S. Next is a prefix, AER or AERO. 1A, air or atmosphere, as in aerate or aerobiology. 1B, air and, that's the definition, air and, as in aerospace, so air and space. Interesting. I never thought about it that way or realized that. 2, gas, as in aerosol. 3, aviation, as in aerodrome. Next is aerate, A-E-R-A-T-E. This is a transitive verb from 1789. 1. To supply or impregnate as the soil or a liquid with air. 2. To supply the blood with oxygen by respiration. 3a is British. It has the synonym carbonate. 3b, to make light or sparkling. Aeration is a noun. Next is aerator, A-E-R-A-T-O-R. This is a noun from 1861. One that aerates, especially an apparatus for aerating something as sewage. Didn't realize they aerated sewage, but I also don't know a lot about sewage. Next is, let's try this one, Erenkima. Aerenkima. A-E-R-E-N-C-H-Y-M-A. This is a noun circa 1893. Modified parenchymatous tissue having large intracellular air spaces that is found especially in aquatic plants where it facilitates gaseous exchange and maintains buoyancy. All right, next is the word aerial, first form of it, A-E-R-I-A-L. This is an adjective from 1604. 1a, of, relating to, or occurring in the air or atmosphere. 1b, existing or growing in the air rather than in the ground or in water. 1c, high in the air, as in aerial spires. 1d, operating or operated overhead on elevated cables or rails, as in an aerial tram. 2. Suggestive of air, as 2a, lacking substance. 2b, synonyms are fanciful and ethereal, as in visions of aerial joy, and that is from P.B. Shelley. And oh, I hope PB stands for peanut butter, but I really don't think it does. 3a, of or relating to aircraft, as in aerial navigation. 3b, designed for use in, taken from, or operating from or against aircraft. 3c, affected by means of aircraft, as in aerial transportation. 4. Of, relating to, or gained by the forward pass in football. Aerially is an adverb. Now we have the second form of aerial. This is a noun from 1902. 1 just has the synonym antenna, 2. So the second definition from the word antenna. 2, the synonym is forward pass. 3, an acrobatic maneuver performed as by skiers and gymnasts in the air. And then it says also, when it's plural, a ski event featuring aerials. Next is aerialist. This is a noun from 1905. One who performs feats in the air or above the ground, especially on the trapeze. This is somewhat related. I do a little animation on the side, specifically rotoscope animation, and I once was in a park, and there was a woman doing the sort of silk dancing. I think you would call her an aerialist, which is why I'm thinking of it now. But so she had the silk draped over like a tree branch or something like that, tied to a tree branch, and she was doing a lot of that silk fabric dancing in the air, which was really cool. So I recorded it, I animated it, and maybe if you're lucky, I'll put a link to that video in the episode description. Next is aerial ladder. This is a noun from 1904. A mechanically operated extensible ladder usually mounted on a fire truck. Next is aerial perspective, noun from 1704. The expression of space in painting by gradation of color and distinctness. Next is airy, A-E-R-I-E, or spelled A-E-R-Y. And yes, I believe I am pronouncing that correctly. This is a noun from 1554. 1. The nest of a bird on a cliff or a mountaintop. 2. This is obsolete. A brood of birds of prey. 3. an elevated, often secluded dwelling, structure, or position. If I remember correctly, in Game of Thrones, there is one family that lives in a castle, and I think they call it the Eyrie. So now I know that it is officially an elevated, often secluded dwelling, structure, or position. The etymology is saying this is from French agrum, which means nest or layer, and that is from the Latin ager, A-G-E-R, which means field, and there's more at the word acre. Next, we have aero, A-E-R-O, first form. This is an adjective from 1874, of or relating to aircraft or aeronautics, as in an aero engine. Next is the second form of aero. This is an abbreviation for aerodynamic. And we'll do one more for today. Aerobatics, A-E-R-O-B-A-T-I-C-S. This is a noun from circa 1911. Spectacular flying feats and maneuvers, as rolls and dives. Aerobat is a noun, and aerobatic is an adjective. And that will end this episode. For some reason, it felt like it went by kind of quick. Yeah, that's the top of page 20. I'm going to go ahead and record some more. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. First word for today is aerobe. Aerobe. A-E-R-O-B-E. We are not done with the A-E's. We are going to be reading these until, let's see, for 3 more episodes. Bottom of page 20 is where we switch to the AFs. All right, aerobe. This is a noun from 1886. An organism, as a bacterium, that lives only in the presence of oxygen. Next is aerobic, A-E-R-O-B-I-C. This is an adjective from 1884. 1. Living, active, or occurring only in the presence of oxygen, as in aerobic respiration. 2. Of, relating to, or induced by aerobes. 3a. Involving, utilizing, or increasing oxygen consumption for metabolic processes in the body, as in stationary bicycles used for aerobic conditioning. 3b. Relating to, resulting from, or used in aerobics. Aerobically is the adverb. Next is aerobicize. This is a verb in 1981. Oh, I have a feeling I know where this came from. This is a transitive verb, to bring to good physical condition through aerobics. The intransitive definition is to engage in aerobics. And my guess from where this came from, I believe, is correct. I thought it was Jane Fonda, and I looked it up. Her workout book was published in 1981. So that is where aerobicize came from. I am 99% sure. Moving on. Aerobics. This is a noun from 1967. 1. Says singular or plural, a system of physical conditioning involving exercises as running, walking, swimming, or calisthenics, strenuously performed so as to cause marked temporary increase in respiration and heart rate. 2. Aerobic exercises. Next is aerobiology. This is a noun circa 1937, the science dealing with the occurrence, transportation, and effects of airborne materials as viruses, pollen, or pollutants. Aerobiological is an adjective. That is a long word, lots of syllables. Next is aerobiosis, A-E-R-O-B-I-O-S-I-S. This is a noun circa 1900. Life in the presence of air or oxygen. Next is aerobrake. This is a transitive verb from 1965. To decelerate as a spacecraft by passage through a planetary atmosphere. It's obviously a very clear and scientific definition. Usually I just think of an airplane But technically, that's a spacecraft. They're up in space, and they are in a planetary atmosphere. It just sounds like it should be something up in space with aliens and futuristic spacecraft or whatever, but it's not. Next is aerodrome. This is a noun from 1908. It says chiefly British, has the synonym airfield. Next is aerodynamicist. This is a noun from 1926, one who specializes in aerodynamics. And that is our next word, aerodynamics. This is a noun from circa 1837, a branch of dynamics that deals with the motion of air and other gaseous fluids and with the forces acting on bodies in motion relative to such fluids. Aerodynamic and aerodynamical are adjectives, and aerodynamically is an adverb. Next is aerodyne, D-Y-N-E. This is a noun circa 1906, a heavier-than-air aircraft, as an airplane, helicopter, or glider. And it says compared to the word aerostat, which we will be reading relatively soon. Next is aeroelasticity, A-E-R-O-E-L-A-S-T-I-C-I-T-Y. This is a noun from 1935. Distortion, as from bending, in a structure, as an airplane wing or a building, caused by aerodynamic forces. And I will reread that without the parts in parentheses. Distortion in a structure caused by aerodynamic forces. Aeroelastic is an adjective. Next is aeroembolism. Whatever this is, it doesn't sound good. This is a noun circa 1939. Decompression sickness caused by rapid ascent to high altitudes and resulting exposure to rapidly lowered air pressure. So yeah, that's not something that you want, aeroembolism. Next is aerofoil, F-O-I-L. This is a noun from 1907, chiefly British, and it has the synonym airfoil. So when we get there, we will read the definition for it. This is spelled A-E-R-O. Again, that's a very British way to spell certain words, and the Americans spell it A-I-R. Next is aerogram, A-E-R-O-G-R-A-M. You could also spell it G-R-A-M-M-E. This is a noun from 1920. The synonym is air letter to. So that's probably a letter sent to somebody via airmail that's sent by a plane. Don't know. Next is aerographer's mate. So aerographer's mate. This is a noun circa 1952. A Navy petty officer specializing in meteorology. Interesting. Next is aerolite. A-E-R-O-L-I-T-E. This is a noun circa 1815. A stony meteorite. I had no idea they were also called aerolites. Interesting. Next is aeromagnetic. This is an adjective from 1946. Of, relating to, or derived from a study of the Earth's magnetic field, especially from the air, as in an aeromagnetic survey. Next is aeromechanics. This is a noun circa 1909. Mechanics that deals with the equilibrium and motion of gases and of solid bodies immersed in them. Next is aeromedical. I say next is a lot. I don't know if I need to. It kind of feels like it's a good way to, remind me and you that I'm on to the next word. But boy, I do say it a lot. If I think of anything clever or if you want to give me a suggestion, please do. Contact info is in the episode details. So, this one I think I left off at aeromedical. This is an adjective from 1937. 1. Of or relating to aeromedicine. 2. Relating to or involving air transportation to a hospital. So often you'll see helicopters flying people to hospitals if they need to get there very, very quickly. And I'm guessing aeromedicine is what happens in those helicopters. So it's like an ambulance on the street. They're working on whoever is needing help, medical help, but in a helicopter. So if they call that aeromedicine, what do they call it in an ambulance when they're on a road? Yeah, I don't know. And next is aeromedicine. This is a noun from 1942, a branch of medicine that deals with the diseases and disturbances arising from flying and the associated physiological and psychological problems. All right, so my guess was a little wrong, or very wrong. So it's specifically with diseases and things that have come because you were in the air. So it's not when you're working on somebody in the air. I wonder what some of those are. Obviously, our previous word, aeroembolism, that would be something that aeromedicine doctors would work on. But I wonder what some of the other things are. But we are going to move on to our last word for this episode, aerometer, and I believe it is pronounced aerometer. This is a noun from 1794. An instrument for ascertaining the weight or density of air or other gases. That sounds like a really interesting instrument because how can you determine the weight or density of a gas? That's fascinating that even exists. And all the way from 1794, there were some really, really smart people who made that. But that will end this episode. And until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Thank you for listening, and please, please, please give me good reviews, even if you hate it. Thank you, and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. First word for today is aeronaut. If you listened to the previous episode, you heard a lot of words that start with aero, A-E-R-O. In fact, I think every single one in the last episode started with aero. And this episode is no different. In fact, let's look. I think we will end, just because I say so, we will end with the very last aero word. And then the next episode will start with a different set of 4 letters. All right, so the first one here is aeronaut. This is a noun from 1784, one who operates or travels in an airship or balloon. The etymology says this is from the Greek nautis, which means sailor, and there's more at the word nautical. Next is aeronautics. This is a noun circa 1824. 1. A science dealing with the operation of aircraft. 2. The art or science of flight. Aeronautical and aeronautic are adjectives, and aeronautically is an adverb. Next is aeronomy. Aeronomy. Yep, A-E-R-O-N-O-M-Y. This is a noun from 1946, a science that deals with the physics and chemistry of the upper atmosphere of planets. Aeronomer is a noun. Aeronomic is an adjective, and aeronomist is also a noun. It went over to the next line, so I got extremely confused as to what letters were where. Next is aerophobia, and I'm going to guess this has to do with a fear of flying. This is a noun from from 1911. Fear or strong dislike of flying. Yep. Aerophobe is a noun. Aerophobic is an adjective or a noun. And luckily for me, I am not an aerophobe. I do an okay amount of flying for work, traveling around a little bit. I've met a few people who are afraid of flying, and it really sucks for them because there's a lot of places that you can't really get to, at least not easily, unless you fly in a plane. And there are a lot of amazing places around the world to see. I've been to a number of them. I'm lucky enough to be able to say that. And you really learn a lot about the world and yourself when you go travel. So I strongly suggest that you all do that when you have the opportunity. Next is aeroplane. I'm going to say this is probably a British. Yep. Okay, so this is a noun from 1873, chiefly British, and the synonym is airplane, just like we're used to spelling it, A-I-R-P-L-A-N-E. The spelling here is A-E-R-O. plane. Those silly Brits. I love you guys. Next is aerosol. This is a noun from 1923. 1. A suspension of fine, solid, or liquid particles in gas, as in smoke, fog, and mist are aerosols. Also, when it's plural, the fine particles of an aerosol, as in stratospheric aerosols. 2. A substance, as an insecticide or medicine, dispensed from a pressurized container as an aerosol. Also, the container for this. So the container for the aerosols can be called an aerosol. Next is aerosolize. This is a transitive verb from 1944, to dispense as an aerosol. And aerosolization is a noun. I love seeing those longer versions of words, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, other forms of them that just get really long and crazy, like aeronautically and aerosolization. Yep, I like those. Next word is aerospace, and hopefully I will have edited this well or something, but the batteries in my external audio recorder died while I was starting to read this, so let's hope that does not happen again. It shouldn't, though. All right, so aerospace, first form, this is a noun, circa 1958. 1. Space comprising the Earth's atmosphere and the space beyond. 2. A physical science that deals with aerospace. 3. The aerospace industry. Second form of aerospace, this is an adjective from 1958, of or relating to aerospace, to vehicles used in aerospace, or the manufacture of such vehicles, or to travel in aerospace, as in aerospace research, or aerospace profits, or aerospace medicine. Next is aerospace plane, noun from 1960, an airplane designed to be able to reach low Earth orbit. Next is aerostat, noun from 1784, a lighter-than-air aircraft, as a balloon or blimp. And it says compare to the word aerodyne, which I think we read in the last episode. Yes, aerodyne says a heavier-than-air aircraft. Okay, interesting. I do remember that. So yes, though anything that's heavier than air, which is almost everything. In this case, aerostat. Aerostat is a lighter-than-air aircraft. So the material that it's made out of needs to be very light, probably relatively thin. Also, in at least a balloon's case, it has to be filled with helium, so another gas that's lighter than air. I can't believe that there are a ton of aerostat aircrafts, but maybe there are. And maybe saying aerostat aircraft is redundant. Maybe you can just say aerostat. All right, moving on. Aerostatics. This is a noun from 1784. A branch of statics that deals with the equilibrium of gaseous fluids and of solid bodies immersed in them. I feel really stupid, but I don't know what statics are. I might have to look that up too. Next is aerothermodynamics, a combination of 3 words. This is a noun from 1949. The thermodynamics of gases and especially of air. Aerothermodynamic is also an adjective. Next is airy, and we read another version of airy. Oh yes, it was spelled A-E-R-I-E. This is A-E-R-Y. This is the first form of it. This is an adjective from the 14th century, having an aerial quality. Ethereal is a synonym, as in airy visions, and aerily is an adverb. And the etymology is from the Latin aerius, A-E-R-I-U-S, and there's more at the word aerial, which we read previously. Second form of airy, it just says it's a variation of the word airy, A-E-R-I-E, which we knew. If you listened ahead of time or earlier, You already knew that. And I completely broke my rule. I said that we were going to end this episode with the last AERO word, which was aerothermodynamics. But I kept on going, and I read airy, and that will be the end of this episode. Thank you for listening. And until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. And next time, it will still be me reading the dictionary. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. First word for today is Aesculapian. All right, let's check the pronunciation. Aesculapian. Capital Aesculapian. This is an adjective from 1605 of or relating to Aesculapius or the healing art. And the etymology is from Aesculapius, which is a Greco-Roman god of medicine. Interesting. That is from the Greek Asklepios. I know with the Greek gods, when they're depicted in art, they always have something with them. So I'm curious what this god looks like and what sort of tools or things does he or she have with him or her. Next is Aesir, capital Aesir. This is a noun from 1850. The principal race of Norse gods. Aesir. I feel like I would have heard that at some point. I have no idea. They honestly might even mention it in the Marvel movies where Thor is involved. Yeah, but in the etymology, it is saying it is from the, I think, Old Norse Aesir, where it's the AE is combined into one letter, which is the plural of, get ready, ASS. Don't know how that is pronounced, and that just means God. How interesting that the Norse word for God is the English word ass. All right, moving on. Aesopian. Capital Aesopian. This is an adjective from 1728. 1. Of, relating to, or characteristic of Aesop or his fables. 2. Conveying an innocent meaning to an outsider, but a hidden meaning to a member of a conspiracy or underground movement, as in Aesopian language. Next word is aesthete. 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 This is often British, it says. This is a noun from 1881. One having or affecting sensitivity to the beautiful, especially in art. An aesthete. So, I guess if you are sensitive to beautiful art or beautiful things, especially art, you are an aesthete. I assume most people would be an aesthete. I would say I am, I guess. So next is aesthetic, and obviously this is related. This has got to be related to aesthete, and this is a word that I am much more familiar with, aesthetic. First form of it, this is an adjective from 1798, 1a, of relating to or dealing with the aesthetics of or the beautiful, as in aesthetic theories. 1b, the synonym is artistic, as in a work of aesthetic value. 1c, pleasing in appearance. Attractive is the synonym, as in easy to use keyboards, clear graphics, and other ergonomic and aesthetic features. And that's from Mark Mehler, Mehler. 2. Appreciative of, responsive to, or zealous about the beautiful. Also, responsive to or appreciative of what is pleasurable to the senses. Aesthetically is the adverb. The etymology is saying this is from the Greek aesthetikos, which means of sense perception, and that is from aisthanastai, have no idea the pronunciation of that one, which means to perceive, and there's more at the word audible. Next is the second form of aesthetic. This is a noun from 1822. One, it says plural but singular, whatever, a branch of philosophy dealing with the nature of beauty, art, and taste, and with the creation and appreciation of beauty. 2, a particular theory or conception of beauty or art, a particular taste for or approach to what is pleasing to the senses and especially sight, as in modernist aesthetics, or staging new ballads which reflected the aesthetic of the new nation. And that is a quote from Mary Clark and Clement Crisp. 3, plural, a pleasing appearance or effect. Beauty is the synonym, as in, appreciated the aesthetics of the gemstones. Next is aesthetic distance, noun from 1938. The frame of reference that an artist creates by the use of technical devices in and around the work of art to differentiate it psychologically from reality. Aesthetic distance. Next is aesthetician. Aesthetician. I'm trying to figure out where the emphasis is. Aesthetician. This is one of those that has a double emphasis. First on the first syllable and next on the third syllable. And the third syllable has the most emphasis. Can I say it again? Aesthetician. This is a noun from 1829. 1, a specialist in aesthetics. 2, the synonym is cosmetologist. Next is aestheticism. Aestheticism. Yeah, I think that's right. Aestheticism. Aestheticism. That's a rough one. Noun from 1855. 1, a doctrine that the principles of beauty are basic to other and especially moral principles. 2, devotion to or emphasis on beauty or the cultivation of the arts. Last night, I watched an episode of The Twilight Zone. I think it was called Number 12 Looks Just Like You, or something very similar to that. It was a really interesting episode about the idea of beauty and everybody being the same or different, and I highly recommend it. The Twilight Zone episode, or seasons 1, 2, 3, and 5 are on Netflix. I think season 4 is on Hulu, but I haven't watched that one yet. This one was in season 5. And again, it's a really interesting episode. This was in 1964, I think it was, and they're having a really interesting conversation about beauty. So this one is, the last word was sort of related to that. Next is aestheticize. This is a transitive verb from 1864, to make aesthetic. That's the whole definition. Next is aestival. 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 It doesn't give me any pronunciation, but it does say it is a variance or a variation of estival, just without the A at the beginning. So we'll learn what that word means at that time. Next is estivate or estivation, and those are variations of estivate and estivation, again without the A. I'm guessing these are all British versions, or just old versions. Next is AET. I'm going to guess that's pronounced 8, or AETAT, AETAT, and this is an abbreviation for aetatis, that's the Latin word, and it means of age or aged. Next is ether, AETHER, and that is a variation of the word ether without the A. 2A, the 2A definition of ether. Next is etiology. This is a chiefly British variation of etiology, again with no A at the beginning. Next is, our first AF word. AF, all lowercase, abbreviation for the word affix, AFFIX. Next is also AF, but all caps, an abbreviation for 1, Air Force, or 2, audio frequency. Next is AF dash, so this is a prefix, it just says CAD dash. So it's a similar, I kind of remember reading that one. That was a lot of like AD, AC, AD, AP, blah, blah, blah. All right, next is we have afar, AFAR. This is the first form of it. It is an adverb from the 14th century. From, to, or at a great distance, as in roamed afar. And the synonym is saying this is from the Middle English on fair, F-E-R, which means at a distance, or also of fair, which means from a distance. Second form of afar is a noun from the 14th century, a great distance, as in saw him from afar. Next is AFB, all caps. This is an abbreviation for Air Force Base. AFC is next, again, an all caps abbreviation for 1, American Football Conference, or 2, automatic frequency control. Next is AFDC, all caps abbreviation for aid to families with dependent children. And next, and our last word for this episode is afeard, A-F-E-A-R-D. This is an adjective from, where's the year? Oh, before the 12th century. Yeah, it seems like a really old word. It says it's chiefly in dialogue, D-I-A-L. I believe that would be dialogue, or maybe like a specific dialect. Not sure. But it just has the synonym afraid. I am afeard. That's a very old way to say I'm afraid. The etymology is saying lots of things. Let's see. Old English, aferan, A-F-A-E-R-A-N, which means to frighten. And let's see. And there's more at the word abide or fear. That will end this episode. Thank you for listening. And next, we will start at the top of page 21 with another AF word. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. First word for today is afibril. No. Afibril. Afibril. A-F-E-B-R-I-L-E. I sound like such an idiot when I don't know how to pronounce these words. Afibril, I think, is how it's pronounced. This is an adjective from 1875. And the definition says, not marked by or having a fever. So if you don't have a fever, you're afebril, or it just doesn't show that you have a fever. I'm not sure. Might have to look that up as well to get more information. Next is AFF, all lowercase. This is an abbreviation for affirmative. And that reminds me of Flight of the Conchords. I feel like I need to come up with something different than that reminds me. If you are not aware of Flight of the Conchords, they are a band, a duo from New Zealand. They are hilarious in my book. I've seen them perform live, I think just once. But they have, one of their more well-known songs is about robots, and they always do some banter before the song when they perform it live. And they have a little discussion about the words affirmative and negative. So maybe I'll put a link to one of those on YouTube or something if I can find it. Next is affable, A-F-F-A-B-L-E. This is an adjective from the 15th century. 1. Being pleasant and at ease in talking to others, as in an affable host. 2. Characterized by ease and friendliness, as in an affable manner. Synonym says see gracious. Affability is a noun, and affably is the adverb. The etymology is saying that this is from the Latin affari, which means to speak to, and that is from fari, F-A-R-I, which means to speak, and there's more at the word ban, B-A-N. I have no idea how ban is related to this, but I guess we will find out later. Next is affair. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1a, it says plural. The definition is commercial, professional, public, or personal business. 1b has the synonyms matter and concern. 2, a procedure, action, or occasion only vaguely specified. Also, an object or collection of objects only vaguely specified, as in, their house was a 2-story affair. 3 is also spelled A-F-F-A-I-R-E, so the E was added to the end. This is 3a, a romantic or passionate attachment, typically of limited duration. And the synonym is liaison to be. 3b, a matter occasioning public anxiety, controversy, or scandal. And the synonym is case. Next is affect, A-F-F-E-C-T. This is the first form of it. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1 is obsolete. It has the synonyms feeling and affection. 2, the conscious subjective aspect of an emotion considered apart from bodily changes. Also, a set of observable manifestations of a subjectively experienced emotion, as in patients showed perfectly normal reactions and affects. That is from Oliver Sacks. So the ... was just, taking out a section that was not needed in this situation. And then at the end it says usage, says see the word effect, E-F-F-E-C-T. I always get confused with affect and effect. I know that there's a difference, so I try to be very conscious of which versions to use or which word to use in which situations. But I do still have to take more thought than I probably should. But I am getting better at it, I think. Next is the second form of affect. This is a verb from the 15th century. Transitive definitions are 1, it's archaic, to aim at. 2a is also archaic, to have affection for. To be given to, and fancy is a synonym, as in affect flashy clothes. 3, to make a display of liking or using. Cultivate is the synonym, as in affect a worldly manner. And I am just realizing, because I did know that there were 2 different ways to pronounce this. The first form of affect is actually, I believe it is pronounced affect. So that is slightly different from what I was saying. Now we are reading the one that's affect, with the emphasis on the second syllable. Where was I? Number 4 for the second form of affect, to put on a pretense of. Feign, F-E-I-G-N, is the synonym, as in affect indifference, though deeply hurt. 5, to tend toward, as in drops of water affect roundness. 6 has the synonym frequent. The intransitive definition says it's obsolete. It has the synonym incline to, so the second definition of the word incline. Another synonym, just in general, says see the word assume. And it says the usage, see the word effect. The etymology for the second form of affect is saying that it is from the Latin affectare, what is this saying? Frequently of afficere, which means to influence. That is from facere, which means to do, and there's more at the word do, D-O. And we have the third form of affect. This is a transitive verb from the 15th century. This will be the last word for this episode. To produce an effect upon, as A, to produce a material influence upon or alteration in, as in, paralysis affected his limbs. B, to act upon as a person or a person's mind or feelings, so as to effect a response. The synonym is influence. And again, we have it says usage, see effect. Affectability is a noun, and affectable is an adjective. And the reason this will be the last last word for this episode is because we have a lot of synonym information. Here we go. Affect, influence, touch, impress, strike, and sway mean to produce or have an effect upon. Affect implies the action of a stimulus that can produce a response or reaction, as in the sight affected her to tears. Influence implies a force that brings about a change, as in nature or behavior, as in our beliefs are influenced by our upbringing. Touch may carry a vivid suggestion of close contact and may connote stirring, arousing, or harming, as in plants touched by frost, or his emotions were touched by her distress. Impress stresses the depth and persistence of the effect, as in only one of the plans impressed him. Strike, similar to but weaker than impress, may convey the notion of sudden, sharp perception or appreciation, as in struck by the solemnity of the occasion. Sway implies the acting of influences that are not resisted or are irresistible, with resulting change in character or course of action, as in politicians who are swayed by popular opinion. That is it for this episode. I think I got everything in there. 3 forms of affect or affect filled up pretty much the whole thing. And I look forward to talking to you in the next episode. Thank you and goodbye.